Welcome live to iconic Gregory Gym in Austin for a top 10 matchup between the Stanford Cardinal and the Texas Longhorns. Both teams are looking to rebound from an early season loss with what would be a statement win today. And the Longhorn faithful have shown up in droves on an early Sunday to cheer on their national champs.
Texas, the 2022 national champion! Logan Eggleston named the most outstanding player.
Most athletes spend their lives dreaming about winning a championship. But once the celebration is over, the title defense begins.
Match point. Lonnie State upsets Texas.
The Longhorns lost some of the most successful players in program history this season, but the roster is far from depleted.
Slide by O'Neal to Skinner, throws it down!
As for Stanford, well, they know a thing or two about winning championships.
Stanford now stands head and shoulders above the rest.
And this year, the Cardinal returns almost every player from last year's Pac-12 championship team.
Stanford does have a few weapons.
Will the Cardinal be able to continue its winning ways? Can the Longhorns rally and make another run for the title? NCAA Volleyball, Stanford, Texas, starts now.
Welcome to the Big 12 on ESPN, and thanks to last year's National Player of the Year, Logan Eggleston, the stage is set. Two of the elite college volleyball programs year in, year out go head to head. Hi everybody, I'm Paul Sunderland. Thanks so much for joining us. My partner and dear friend Holly McPeak, three-time Olympian. Stanford loaded, everybody coming back, and more than motivated after what happened last year. But who's going to lead them?
Well, for sure, Cami Minor, the best setter in the country, in everyone's minds. And then Kendall Kipp, one of the most physical opposites in the country. If she has a big match and they can stay in system, she is dangerous.
And for the Texas Longhorns, the reigning national champions, the banner was just unfurled, and Asia O'Neal, the best middle blocker in the country, to lead them.
Yeah, she spent her summer with Team USA and even elevated her game more so than last year. Puts up huge defensive numbers and offensive numbers, but Ella Swindle, the freshman setter, she's the biggest impact on this match because they need good location to play at a high level.
Texas was number 5 last year in national average attendance at over 4,500 standing room only crowd. Toughest ticket to get in Austin. When with the music scene, that's saying a lot in the football game yesterday. Underway, best 3 out of 5 sets. That ball is blocked. The size and strength of Kendall Kipp, number 10 in black, with some help from Bacchini in the middle.
And that's the lineup at the net Kevin Hambley for Stanford was looking for. Kipp on Maddie Skinner from Texas.
Stanford at 2-1, coming in with a loss at home to Florida, 3-0. Very unusual match. Stanford hit 340 and lost. Florida, a very good team, already with a win, as mentioned, over Stanford, but also Penn State as the new libero will go back to serve. This is Emma Halter, 5'5", sophomore out of Indianapolis, taking over for Zoe Fleck, last year's libero of the year. Swindle some pretty good location and paying it off as Maddie Skinner, number 6 in white.
And Molly Phillips, number 15 in white, came all the way across the court to pick up that tip, and they were able to turn that defense into a point.
Serving strategy, serving location. Who does Halter go after? We talked to Coach Elliott before the match. And we'll update you on that going after Baird. Off the edge of the block and out of bounds by Rubin.
Elia Rubin, number 13 in black, had a fantastic freshman season for Stanford, and her passing numbers are superb, so watch Texas serve away from her.
Elena Ogilvie, 5'10", senior out of Honolulu, the reigning Pac-12 libero of the year, and certainly elite among liberos in the country. Rubin going high, flat, off the top. Good transition volleyball for Stanford.
And it started with a dig from Katie Baird, who has been out of the lineup for Stanford, so Stanford able to get her back in there.
Baird wearing number 22, the redshirt senior out of Indianapolis, playing in her first match of the season, out with an injury. She brings 1,000 career kills, so returning All-American, a big add for Stanford. That ball set a little bit tight and stuffed once again.
Stanford. Kendall Kipp and Sammy Francis, the biggest block combination for Stanford, putting a lot of pressure on Maddie Skinner of Texas.
And Maddie Skinner, so far in the early going, has been struggling at the offensive end. We'll update you on her numbers, well down from last year. Skinner hitting only 149 so far on the year after last year hitting 307. You've seen them play. You talked about Swindle into the lineup, new setter to work with. But what do you see as an adjustment right now going so far for Skinner?
Well, first of all, in the early matches, Ella Swindle is a freshman setter, and her location and rhythm was not syncing up with the other hitters. So all of the offensive numbers were down for Texas, but those numbers went way up versus Minnesota.
Kaylee Okana, backcourt specialist out of Hawaii, 5'9" junior, on for Texas. Really good set in transition, right on cue. Skinner with a huge kill into the cross court.
And one of the strengths of Texas backcourt is you have three strong players who can transition set this ball. And it's so important. Look at Okana use her hands to put up that really nice transition set to Maddie Skinner.
Okana again tied at 4, and that ball drifts just out of bounds. Serving a huge story for Kevin Hambley and the Cardinal against the visiting Florida Gators. Offense was really superb, as it usually is for the Stanford Cardinal, but they missed 14 serves against just 2 aces. That was a big factor in that match, as we see the reigning Pac-12 player of the year, Kendall Kipp, out of Newport Beach for the first time. Good read by Ogilvy, and right back at you, Cammie Minor.
Love that Cammie Minor called her own number. Kevin Hambley, we talked to him a lot about what happened in that loss, and they just didn't take care of the details. Their offensive numbers were fine, but missed way too many serves, and hard balls hit right at them that they want to clean up.
Coach Hambley in his 7th year, back-to-back national championships in 2018 and 2019 after coming over. What an absolute rip into the cross court by Skinner.
And Kaylee Okana, number 12 in white, another transition set, uses her hands to put up a very hittable ball. Maddie Skinner gets her feet inside and crushes that angle.
Skinner back to serve, the 6'2" junior out of Katy, Texas, won a national championship for Kentucky before transferring to Texas. Back-to-back Skinner national championships. Elia Rubin, beautiful high flat shot off the top of the block.
Elia Rubin has really improved her offensive tools, finding ways to beat that big block going high off the hand several times already in this first set.
The 6'1" sophomore out of Brentwood, California, all Pac-12 last year. Hitting 343 so far as an outside hitter on the year. Red hot. That ball chased by Ogilvy, but keep an eye on Asia O'Neal. You were at the serve and pass for Texas, which was at the crack of dawn this morning, so good dedication for you. I missed it, but Asia O'Neal left their serve and pass, so really, really a good sign for Texas that she's not only in the lineup, but productive.
Well, it's a good thing their serve and pass was early, gave her enough time to get some treatment, now feeling loose. And much better, obviously, for Texas.
In the championship win over Louisville last year, Asia O'Neal was 9 for 14 with no errors, hitting over 600. Good block touch. Setter handled first contact. Not a good set that time by Ogilvy, but effectively off the edge of the block by Katie Baird.
But the experience of Katie Baird, having her back in that lineup, just tooling the block off a tight set.
First lead now for Stanford at 8-6. And a Pringle on as a defensive specialist wearing number 3 to come in and serve. First look at Jenna Wennis, the transfer out of Minnesota. Timing not there. Your evaluation. On the season, and so far very early in the match for freshman setter Ella Swindle.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of nerves. First big home match for Ella Swindle. Hasn't found a rhythm, and you saw that in that last set to Wennis. But I think she's going to gain confidence, get more comfortable. There's a lot of adrenaline going right now, even for us.
Ella Swindle wearing number 1, 4 kills, 9 digs, and an assist in a 3-1 win at Minnesota. Minnesota ranked number 5. That was a really good bounce back for the Texas Longhorns. Swindle out of Columbia, Missouri, first team high school All-American, Gatorade Player of the Year in the Show Me State. Can't let that ball drop. Very, very fortunate for Stanford on a broken play.
Yeah, broken play, a miscue for Stanford. These are players that are very used to playing together, trying to run that Bick to Kip, and the timing is off, but free ball to the corner drops for Stanford.
All-American setter Cami Minor, 6-foot junior out of Redondo Beach. Talked about the reigning setter of the year in the Pac-12 conference. The Pac-12 conference, big topic of conversation, which exists no more. Double contact called against Texas, and 11-7 lead. Timeout here for Texas?
I think so, but not called.
Jared Elliott biding his time. Minor will go back to the line. Texas won last year in Palo Alto 3-0. Molly Phillips is blocked again. Kendall Kipp has been an absolute wall once again with the cheating. And here's the timeout. Impressive start for Stanford.
Definitely, and it came down to their defense. A big difference in their game. 12-7 up in Texas in this first set.
Coming up tonight, there's only one college football game on the schedule, and this is it, a top 10 matchup on ABC. Number 5 LSU, number 8 Florida State in the Camping World kickoff game in Orlando. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Back in Gregory Gym, Stanford. Very, very nice run, 8-3 overall to take the 5-point advantage here in the opening set. Difference you've seen on both sides, Holly.
Well, I feel like offensively, Texas has not found a rhythm. Tough served into traffic by Cami Minor. They have not found their offensive rhythm, and the block of Kendall Kipp on that right side has been trouble.
3 stuff blocks now for Stanford, all of those by Kipp and Kevin Hambley. Again, in his 7th year for Stanford, told us yesterday at practice, defense was going to be the key, blocking and backcourt defense into the donut or campfire there, but back row attack is going to be called by the first referee, Patty Rolfe. Crowd a little unsettled, and now Stanford is doubled up on Texas 14-7. Kevin Hambley was not at all happy about the defensive effort of the Cardinal at home against a very good team from Florida. Phillips sitting on the left side in rotation number 1. Must convert here for Texas. And Bella Bergmark does. Wearing number 5, 6'2" senior transfer out of Lynchburg, California. Started her career where you did, Holly McPeak, at the University of California.
Coach Jared Elliott talked about the importance, especially in transition, of running that middle attack. In that particular rally, 2 different sets went to Bella Bergmark, number 5 in white.
Defensive specialist Carissa Barnes, a transfer from Texas A&M Corpus Christi, the reigning Southland Conference leader of the year, and immediately scores a point coming out of the timeout, giving some energy to this crowd if they needed any. I want to talk to you, Holly, about the beginning of your career. Mention Cal. You were a freshman setter there in the Pac-12.
Pac-10 at the time.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Ella Swindle, how tough is it to step in as a freshman and then lead one of the preeminent programs in the country?
I think it's difficult. My team was not the number 1 team in the country with a target on our back, but I had to learn. Look at that block by Molly Phillips and Bella Bergmark. The defense is what's going to drive this Texas team as their offense finds their rhythm, and as Ella Swindle gets more comfortable running this offense. That was the first block for Texas in this match. Well formed, and Molly Phillips sets that up.
Molly Phillips at 6'5", a real weapon blocking at the pin. Transition opportunity, ball set too tight. Recycle the point. Good play by Skinner. Phillips, tough ball, drifting well off the net. Coming to Kipp again, rips inside, beautiful dig. Emma Halter with the dig, and then Skinner delivering the facial.
Kendall Kipp, sharp cross-court heat, and then this ball inside to Maddie Skinner. Sharp cross-court. Looks like it might have got Kipp in the face for Stanford.
Timeout called by the Cardinal. What a good response by Texas after they trailed 14-7. The Longhorns now on a 4-0 run. We talked about the Stanford Cardinal and Texas blocking. Last year, Texas led the nation in hitting efficiency at 336. They're hitting 224 so far in the year, so got to make that up somewhere. They're averaging 3.2 blocks, and you saw them finally get in that column with Molly Phillips.
Well, I feel like last year was the opposite. Their offense paced them and their defense caught up. They feel like that's the opposite this year. They're going to start with their tough serving and defense, and then their offense will catch up.
First weekend out in Long Beach, and Jared Elliott talked to us a long time about, hey, give Long Beach State all the credit in the world, but that's a bad loss for the University of Texas against Long Beach State. Long Beach State has lost a couple of more matches after that, but it was a perfect storm. Asia O'Neal was a last-second scratch. He even said the balls were funky, so everything, but Texas bounced back, particularly with an impressive win in Minneapolis. There is Jared Elliott. Boy, how time flies now in his 23rd year. 2 times a national champion, USA Volleyball Hall of Famer. And the record of consistency with the Texas Longhorns under Coach Elliott is really something to behold.
You see the hitting percentage so far. Texas's numbers way down, and Stanford consistent with that 312 attack in the first set so far.
17 straight regionals under Jared Elliott for the University of Texas. Finished in the top 10 in the final national poll in 17 straight years. 17 straight years in the top 10.
Incredible.
The lead is down to 3. Right side off the edge of the block. Nice kill by Baird, wearing number 22 in black. A champion back in 2019, all Pac-12 last year, hit 246, and again, this is her first action so far on this year after missing the first 3 matches. 2 in Colorado, and then at home in the loss to Florida. What an outstanding first contact on a tough deep serve by Halter.
I agree, and you see what Texas wants to do. They want to run those middles and open up things on the left pin. Bella Bergmark likes to stay close to the setter. Pays off right there.
Halter was some very, very big shoes to fill. A lot of players of the year on both of these teams in the conference. Zoe Fleck, previously the Pac-12 Libero of the year, and now stepping right in is number 2, Emma Halter out of Indianapolis. High flat shot as a wing attacker, got to have it.
And the whole Texas defense had slid to the left side, and that ball completely open off the top of the block.
Maddie Skinner now with 6 kills on 13 swings, hitting 308. Texas going after Baird. Another stuffed block. Asia O'Neal, the best in the business, along with Molly Phillips.
And Asia O'Neal has not only stepped up her game, but she stepped up her leadership role. When she was out, the team really lacked that voice and that energy out on the court. So she is an impact player for sure every time she steps on the court for Texas.
Her 6th year here in Austin, Texas. Service ace by Halter. And what did Jared Elliott say? We're not going to serve the libero, and we're not going to serve Rubin. We're going to go after Baird in her first match back, and it's paying dividends.
And Baird is just taking a small sliver of the court, and Texas able to find her.
A serve again. 9-1 run by the Texas Longhorns. Stanford is going to use their 2nd and final timeout. Moments ago, it was 14-7 Stanford.
This is a serve Texas has been working on the last couple years, that line to line and the accuracy right there from Emma Halter between the line and the passer for the ace.
Unusual to my mind to see elite teams, of which these are, give up huge runs like this. First Texas did, and now Stanford is, and that's something that will certainly diminish as the season goes along.
Texas on a 9-1 run, and behind their blocking and their tough service pressure, that has been the difference in this run.
After a very slow start, Texas hitting 143, 9 kills on 28 swings. On the other side, Texas has done a wonderful job blocking and defending in the backcourt. Stanford hitting 263, Texas leading 16-15. Maddie Skinner The 6'2" junior is mentioned out of Katy, Texas. 2 times a national champion. Got blocked her first swing, but she's been hitting high and hard ever since.
Well, I think she had to recalibrate the size of Kendall Kipp at the net for Stanford. Puts a lot of pressure on that left pin hitter for Texas.
16 kills on 48 swings in 4 sets against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and Jared Elliott telling us in a Zoom call earlier this week, Maddie has got to limit, Skinner's got to limit the number of errors. She had 9 hitting errors. In other words, either block straight to the floor or hit a ball out of bounds. 9 hitting errors on 48 swings in Minnesota. She's cleaned it up with a couple of days of work. Halter again. Texas leading by 1 opening set. Standing room only crowd at Gregory Gym. Got to get a better swing than that. Not a good set in transition. And Texas pays the price. Kendall Kipp, number 10 in black, registers the kill. Only her second on 6 swings.
Kendall Kipp attacking that seam.
Ogilvy out of Hawaii, the libero, 1,158 digs coming in, behind only Gabby Ailes and the legendary Morgan Hens. Wow, that ball, what a quality swing. That was an absolutely spectacular swing. It was called out of bounds, but Jared Elliott is going to the challenge card. And just to review, each team will start with 2 challenges and an obvious rule change a couple of years ago, Holly. As long as you are correct, you keep your challenges. So if you're good at it and get some help from your assistant coaches and your players, you really have an unlimited number.
I felt like prior to that, people took advantage of calling that challenge, but look at like they got the left hand of the middle blocker on that one for Stanford.
And you can look at 3 things in combination: touch off the block, ball in or out, or a net violation. There is no net violation. I think that the ball was called out of bounds by the linesman. Really good swing again, perfect set location. What they're looking at is a touch by the middle blocker on the left hand. I think that's Vicini. McKenna Vicini, 6'2" redshirt senior out of Lexington, Kentucky for Stanford. I thought there was a touch.
I think it's Sammy Francis.
Excuse me, Sammy Francis in the middle. Sammy Francis, 6'6" junior. It is Francis. You're absolutely right, Holly. Thank you. Watch the left hand. Francis missed a lot of time last year with a variety of injuries, and she's been a very nice addition, if you will, although a big part of the Stanford effort last year. Sammy Francis out of San Diego. Go ahead, Holly.
I'm looking for some movement on that left pinky. I don't see a lot.
It's got to be conclusive once again. You call challenge ball in or out, ball up or down, 4 contacts, touch off the block, 3-meter line foot fault, service line foot fault, and added this year also a setting foot fault by the libero. April Fricky is the second referee, and the one and only Patty Rolfe is the first referee. Fantastic international official, which ridiculously has been aged out of refereeing internationally, and one of the best in the business.
How can she age out? She looks young.
You'll have to ask the FIVB.
What, at 35 is the age limit?
Call stands. The call will stand, so to update you on that. So Texas down to 1 challenge. I thought that was good use of the challenge, no question. There is Francis. Stanford back on top, 17-16. They led it 14-7. Texas came storming back to take the 16-15 lead on a 9-1 run. O'Neal out of the middle, number 7 in white.
Fantastic pass, leads to that high percentage middle attack by Asia O'Neal in front of the setter. We know she's good behind the setter, but here stays in front, gets on top of this ball, attacking that right back defender, the setter for Stanford.
Kana back to serve. O'Neal had a very, very productive summer for the U.S. national team, led by head coach Karch Kirai. Halter, superb early, and taking some shrapnel. Number 2 in black, Emma Halter, stepping in at the libero position, has really, really been good so far. 19 digs on the road against Minnesota.
And she was fearless last year. Look at her fly in, pancake that ball to keep it alive, but the second one came too hard from Sammy Francis.
First contact. I know that wasn't perfect, but pretty good so far. That ball missed out of bounds. Skinner looking for hands, and that's back-to-back hitting errors into area 5, which is in the left back. 19-17 lead for Stanford.
This is a rotation where setter is front row, only 2 attack options for Texas.
Overpass, that is trouble. What a good block. Point-saving reaction by Swindle.
And that's when it's wonderful to have a 6'3" setter who can turn and press that ball down. Ball passed too tight to the net. She's front row, so she can attack or block that ball, and she does for Texas.
Maddie Skinner, 6 aces to go along with 11 errors so far on the year. Pretty good ratio. We'll go back to the line. 1-point lead for the second-ranked Stanford Cardinal. Texas currently ranked at number 7 after the loss at Long Beach, and that ball drifts out of bounds. Good attempt on the jump float. Rubin wearing number 13 will go back to the line.
Texas still 2 front row hitters, but they have Maddie Skinner who can attack out of the back row.
Stanford looking for the very tough serve. When we spoke to Kevin Hamley earlier in the week, and both coaches and all the coaches are so generous with their time during the week with us on Zoom calls, he talked about, we got to serve tough. We missed some serves that weren't tough. I think he'll live with that jump hybrid that missed that time by Rubin. Here's O'Neill, a very good server for a middle blocker. Baird nicely off the edge of the block using Swindle and out of bounds.
And Katie Baird, I believe 4 of her kills have been off the block. So experienced at using that big block to her advantage.
7 hitting errors in the opening set for Texas, hitting only .094. There is Pringle, defensive specialist, coming on. Easy serve, perfect pass, and you pay the price. You can't serve lollipops.
I like the set and location by freshman Ella Swindle of Texas, too. She runs a spread. Bella Bergmark running that 3 set, and then Wennis able to find a seam.
The transfer from Minnesota, 6'1" junior Wennis, playing 3 rotations out of nearby Frisco, Texas. Overpass here. Good reaction by Minor to keep it off the floor. Poor communication by Texas. Perfect location. Cammie Minor, number 2 in black. As a former All-American setter at UCLA, you got to appreciate that location and tempo.
I certainly do. And Katie Baird finally gets a clean kill. Most of them have been off the block. Look at this push, and then Bella Bergmark late to close that angle.
Cammie Minor led the nation in assists per set last year at 11.4. She's even higher than that so far this year. Devin Kawhi on the floor now wearing number 44. Dig by Ogilvy. Must have by Texas, working on Swindle to take her out of the setting role. And the beat goes on. Kendall kip over the top and down.
Impressive defense on both sides of the net. Devin Kawhi in the match right now for Texas. Took 3 big swings, and Stanford able to slow her down. Kip finally has the answer from the right side.
Texas calls timeout. Okay, it's the very beginning of the year, but mark that one. That might go down as that one might survive as the early candidate for point of the year. Kendall Kipp and Stanford leading 23-20. Coming up on Monday night, we'll have the only college football matchup on the Labor Day schedule. An all-ACC affair between number 9 Clemson and Duke in Durham, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app. Coverage begins with college football countdown at 7 Eastern, back with 3-time Olympian Holly McPeak thoughts so far on the level of play between both of these teams? Clearly the level of intensity there, that last rally was a perfect example.
I'm loving the defense on both sides. I feel like Texas hasn't found their rhythm offensively yet. But Stanford very comfortable with one another. You can see they're hitting for better numbers, hitting 281 compared to 100 for Texas.
Last year, the Stanford Cardinal, the number 4 seed going into the NCAA tournament, finished the year at 27-5, lost in the regional final at home to an outstanding team in the University of San Diego. I was there for that. They led 23-22, 2 sets to 1. Talked to Kendall Kipp yesterday, and Cammie Minor, and Kevin Hamblin. That was a devastating loss last season, taking nothing away from San Diego. That was devastating. A highly motivated group coming back. Kevin Hamblin said it was the second toughest loss of his entire career. The only one that he would put on top of that, the 2011 NCAA Finals, losing to UCLA when he was at the University of Illinois. Minor again, Stanford 2 points away from the opening set. Good response. Devin Ka'awai, 6'4" sophomore out of Kailua, Hawaii, played in 22 matches last year. And Jared Elliott is very, very high on number 44.
Yeah, he talked about it. She's going to get some swings in this match. She can swing from left and right, and very aggressive, finding a way there.
Barnes, defensive specialist, back to serve, must have. Tough serve, good start. Perfect dig, right to the 3-meter line.
One of the keys for Coach Jared Elliott of Texas, he said, we have to get Stanford setter off the net. Kendall Kipp is too good when they're in system.
Stanford moving their receivers. Katie Baird over in the left back right now. We'll see where Barnes goes after her. Chance in transition again. 3-woman block. And that's going to be not even 4 contacts. 3-person block paying big dividends. Key part of the game plan for Kevin Hamblin and Stanford.
But it's interesting. Prior to the match, they said they were only going to do that on Jenna Wennis. And they ended up doing that on Maddie Skinner this last play.
Got excited. It certainly worked. Set point number 1. Texas has gotten the best of Stanford the last 2 years. Last year in Palo Alto, 3 sets to none. Minor really plays good defense. Good play out of the middle of Bella Bergmark. I'm really impressed with Ellis Wendell. Very, very impressed. Just her composure, her location, tempo.
I talked to David Hunt, the assistant coach for Texas. He said her potential is through the roof, and she is working hard every day to be the best setter for this Texas team.
Second set point, going to Kipp down the line. Beautiful dig by Halter. And right back at you. What a dig into the cross court by Baird. Boy, I do not like that tip in that situation. You can't take any prisoners. Maddie Skinner has got to take a rip at that ball with a set point on the line, in my opinion, and Stanford with yet another block. That's 5 in the opening set. Stanford takes the opener. As we expected, there were some runs. There were some unbelievable rallies. Stanford, when they take on Texas, is something to behold. Stay with us, just underway here in Austin. An opening set of runs, first by Stanford, then by Texas, but another quick one at the end. Number 2 Stanford Cardinal on top of number 7 Texas, 25-23 in the opening set. Back with 3-time Olympian Holly McPeak. I'm Paul Sunderland. Take a look at the opening numbers, and once again, Texas struggling at the offensive end after 4 of the last 5 years, leading the nation in offensive efficiency.
And the coaching staff for Texas knew it would take time to catch up, but too much tipping, in your opinion and mine, and then the block for Stanford has been really good. They outblocked Texas 5-3 in the first set. Katie Baird, 4 for 8, 0 errors, and she has just been a master using the block and taking some really smart, experienced swings for Stanford.
Texas defensively has done a really good job on first-team All-American Kendall Kipp. 14 swings, only 3 kills on the other side. Maddie Skinner was cold to start and then got red hot. That ball that she hit out of bounds that was challenged, and then she hit another out of bounds. She finished the opening set 7 kills on 20 swings with 6 errors. That's not good enough. Texas, as you saw, hitting just over 100, and Stanford at 250. The blocks were big. Both teams working so hard at the defensive end, 19 digs apiece. There is Kendall Kipp, 6'5", graduate out of Newport Beach, part of the 2019 NCAA championship team. And there is Asia O'Neal. Her first year in Austin, Texas was all the way back in 2018. She redshirted and then, not once but twice, had open heart surgery, first in 2013 and then again after her redshirt freshman year. I talked to her a couple of days ago, and Asia said that her whole perspective after the second surgery changed. They went back in and not only repaired the same valve again, but also another heart valve. She didn't feel she could train hard enough. She thought she was going to come to Texas, play volleyball, and that would be the end of it. After the second procedure, she was able to train at an entirely different level for longer periods of time. And now the sky's the limit for Asia O'Neal going forward. And this year. Skinner, luckily off the block and out of bounds. You were a setter, I was a hitter. You get lucky like that, it can get you going.
Definitely, anything to get some momentum on your side of the net, especially in this kind of a matchup.
Stanford again at 2-1, lost at home to Florida earlier in the week. Texas also at 2-1, went out to California, lost to Long Beach State. That was a stunner. Beat Loyola Marymount, and then a really good bounce back at Minnesota. Nice play by Bergmark out of the middle. What is number 5 in white, Bella Bergmark, who played quite a bit last year? Kayla Caffey off again, on again starter. What does she bring, the transfer out of Cal?
Well, she's an elite blocker, but now really has upped the level offensively. She and Ella Swindle connect really well, especially in transition, and that's another offensive weapon for Texas.
Free ball opportunity, and Texas just completely mismangles the play. Cannot have that.
It's a communication breakdown. If you're the setter, it's your ball no matter what. Don't even hesitate.
Cannot have that. Here is Ogilvy. Opening set went to Stanford 25-23. Texas went on a 9-1 run. Minor and Ogilvy, it is very hard to get the ball to the floor. Good response, good block on the outside. Texas needed that. Skinner along with Bergmark.
Texas attacking a lot of tips in the middle of the court, but Cami Minor extends, covering that middle, and then the well-formed block there. Skinner and Bergmark for Texas.
Skinner, a magnificent athlete at 6'2". She and her sister Avery, who's now with the national team. Nice kill off the right side by Kipp. Avery Skinner, they teamed to win a national championship for the University of Kentucky, the first ever by an SEC team before coming back home to the state of Texas. Kendall Kipp, considered by many to be the future heir apparent on the Olympic team at the right side position. A lot of candidates for that. A little bit of talent in the United States these days.
So much talent across the country there. Molly Phillips on the right side, turning it down the line. We've seen her hit a lot of angle that time, finding an opening in the Stanford defense.
Phillips, just her first kill so far on 8 swings. Described as being pretty setter dependent. She really needs the ball in a good spot and good rhythm. Oh, what a dig down the line by Kipp. Kendall Kipp already took a facial, but there is no backing down. She really defended her spot in area 1.
Kendall Kipp just put her helmet on down the line to dig that ball. Watch Stanford covered this line ball. Skinner crushes it, overhand dig, and then Elliot Rubin, another flat high hand swing for the Stanford kill.
These two teams loaded with attackers. Oh, what a serve. Elliot Rubin wearing number 13. That ball low and flat. Attacking
the seam between Carissa Barnes and Emma Halter. Carissa Barnes played for Texas A&M Corpus Christi. She was the libero there, put up some amazing numbers.
Yep. Second ace now for Rubin and Stanford, followed up by the air. Serving story so far. Remember, Stanford did not serve at all well at home. 14 errors against only 2 aces in the loss to Florida. So far, 2 aces, 5 errors, and here is Skinner. Good play by Baird to recycle the point. Kendall Kipp out of the back row and away from Akana.
And that's what Stanford was missing against Florida, that Katie Baird, that mentality to recycle that ball and stay in the play, allowing her team to score the next point.
Anna Pringle, 5'10", sophomore out of La Jolla, California, on to serve. Good deep serve. Wenis has been very quiet in her defense. Not many good sets to her so far. Unforced error, free point to the Stanford Cardinal.
Too many free balls, in my opinion. They're just hand setting the ball over, and Stanford's going to take advantage of that.
6-5 advantage. Once again, Stanford won the opening set after trailing 16-15 and giving up a 9-1 run. Huge 3-woman block. Led them to the 25-23 win in the opening set. Pringle again. So much going on in college volleyball and in college sports. Conference realignment. Both of these teams in their respective conferences for the last time. Good read by Rubin. And again, Rubin playing some magnificent defense. Stanford does not get a swing. Rubin again, perfect, on target. Teams are working so hard. Halter all over the place. And that ball right on the sideline. Good tip by number 22, Baird.
Perfect location to end that rally. Texas could not get a swing after digging so many balls in that rally, and that was the difference.
Baird now with 5 kills on 11 swings, hitting .455, no errors. Timeout is called by Texas. Second set. Texas taking on Stanford here in sold out Gregory Gym. Coming up on Saturday night, Steve Sarkisian heads back to Tuscaloosa to lead number 11 Texas against Nick Saban and number 4 Alabama. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ESPN and the app. Pat McAfee and his crew will be there to bring you Field Pass on ESPN2. Stanford up 1-0. And there is Logan Eggleston. Congratulations on being named the Honda Award winner for the sport of volleyball last year and what she accomplished during her term. 5 years here in Austin, Texas, and she will be coming up to the booth to join us momentarily. It will be our honor. Last year's National Player of the Year, 3-time Big 12 Player of the Year. Just had an absolutely phenomenal career here in Austin, both on and off the court. Coming out of the timeout, service error. And back to Asia O'Neal, who's been pretty quiet from the service line, usually very good. Wenis is rejected. Vicini out of the middle, along with a very good blocking setter in Cami Minor.
And McKenna Vicini is known for her blocking, number 14 in black. Making sure to shut down that seam.
Averaged 1.3 blocks per set last year, which is an outstanding number. Good pass by Wenis. And good throw into the campfire. Very good location on the throwdown tip that time by number 13.
And Jenna Winnes, number 13 in white, has the ability to really dominate a match, but Stanford's been able to keep her quiet so far.
Very quiet. 2 of 11 with 2 contrasting errors, hitting 0. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Hawaii coming back on.
But in her defense, she has not been in system and has not had the set opportunities.
I agree, but that's kind of her job, to take out the trash as a left side wing. Transition opportunity going right side to Baird. Boy, did Stanford miss All-American Katie Baird. She's still without an error now. 7 kills, making 6 kills on 13 swings.
Yeah, she has been so impressive and takes pressure off the other hitters.
Stanford on the year hitting a cool 351. They hit 405 against Florida in the second set and lost. I don't know how you do that. And then hit 415 and lost the set again. Yeah, there you have it. That's a tough chance for Winnes. And making lemonade out of lemons.
Well, Stanford's attacking the setter, making Ella Swindle, the right back defender, play the first ball, which means somebody other than the setter has to set, and they're not getting the types of swings that they need. Ella Swindle picks up this ball. Emma Halter needs to get that ball tighter to the net for Jenna Winnes.
Texas hitting 119 so far on the match. Kip off the edge of the block, off Bergmark into the antenna, and out of bounds on the other side.
Kendall Kipp's numbers when they are in system and have that perfect pass are extremely high.
Waited for the computer to update. Kendall Kipp now 7 of 22. Texas doing a pretty good job, hitting 278. So more than doubling up right now on the Texas Longhorns, who led the nation last year in hitting efficiency. Asia O'Neal back on, and Emma Halter, who has been outstanding at the libero, back to the line. Halter already with 7 digs. Swindle just saying, what else have you got? That's a nice high tap down. 6'6" Sammy Francis. What a dig into the cross court against Kipp.
Incredible. Ella Swindle, balanced, ready for the heat, controls this ball, goes over the net, and on the second swing, Sammy Francis uses her length.
Kipp and Stanford, 1-0, 11-9. Kipp also doing an outstanding job at the defensive end. Not a good set in transition. Ball was too tight, and Texas pays the price. It's those little things that you've got to clean up on both sides, but still a long way to go. It's so early in this 2023 season.
You want to get Asia O'Neal involved offensively. That time the ball set a little bit low, but if Texas can pass the ball well, look at Asia O'Neal offensively. Get her the ball.
100%. Second in the nation last year in hitting efficiency at .443. Pretty good idea, and won't have to bother. First contact, absolute without question. Right now, Stanford has not been really good, but they've been better than Texas in first contact.
And Cami Minor has a wide range where she can keep Stanford in system.
Rizakana, the transfer from Nebraska, 12-10 is the lead. Look at that pass. Perfect first contact. Stanford was working on that slide between Minor and Francis a lot yesterday in practice. Not paying dividends yet. Off the top of the block, kill by Kendall Kipp. What's the key to having a dynamite connection in the slide?
Well, obviously it's reps and rhythm, but time together, usually you can develop that.
Remember, we were both here. There was a lot of work individually after practice run by Kevin Hambley between Francis and the All-American setter, Cami Minor. What a good set in transition. Bump set that time by Minor, number 2 to the outside to Katie George.
And I've been watching
Katie Baird.
I've been watching Elia Rubin in the backcourt. She's playing middle back, but she is bodying up in that seam, seeing holes and making great defensive reads for Stanford.
Baird now 7 of 15, hitting .467. Remember, making her first appearance on the year out with injury through the first 3 matches. 14-10 now is the lead. And that ball will drift out of bounds. Give you the serving numbers quickly. That is 9 service errors for Stanford. Borderline too many.
They had 15 against Florida on Monday. Was that Tuesday? Tuesday.
Good pass. That's a mistake going to the libero. And there's a good connection on the slide. Number 17, Sammy Francis at 6'6".
You say that's a mistake, but Baird has been nails in serve receive. So you want to mix it up, maybe attack more seams, a short ball, something to disrupt Stanford's offense.
I agree with you. Baird has been superb so far in reception, so they try someplace else. Really important minor adjustments. There's the throw down into the middle that time by Wennis. A point of emphasis by the officials. I think that, quote, I'm calling it a throw down, okay? The official didn't call it. I thought that play was borderline.
Yeah, we haven't seen Wennis take the kind of swings that she normally does, using that power. We've seen a lot of those power throwdowns so far today.
4 of 14. Here is O'Neal. Hip out of the back row. Nice stretch by Akana. Tough play by O'Neal. That ball out of bounds, and a break for Stanford as Minor will go back to the line. If you're just joining us, Stanford ranked at number 2, 2-1 in the early going, coming off a loss to Florida at home. Texas also at 2-1. Came out to Long Beach, lost to Long Beach State. Much improved 49er program under Tyler Hildebrand. Beat LMU, and then a really strong performance against number 5 Minnesota. There is Jenna Wennis.
That's the swing I love to see from her. She just has not had that many great opportunities, but she has the ability, the physicality to get her feet there and crush that ball. Emma Halter steps in, takes that second ball, and we saw Wennis do that the other night against Minnesota as well.
Kendall Kipp once again, 6'5". Talked about the athletic ability of Maddie Skinner. Kendall Kipp is a very, very special student athlete.
I remember when she came in as a freshman, just the ability to play at such a high level over the net, and she's just improved every year. That's her 10th kill.
The lead is 4. Good pass by Halter. And Wennis smartly off the edge and out of bounds. Number 13. Again, the transfer from Minnesota, coming back home to her home state and being replaced at the defensive specialist position by Carissa Barnes.
And she's worked hard in the gym, gotten really physical, taking care of some injuries. Her jump is up 4 inches already since coming to Texas.
Which is a huge number, almost unheard of.
Especially for an elite athlete.
Good block touch. Texas has had some transition opportunities. Blocked by Phillips. Not a perfect set, but when you're 6'5" and that talented, Kendall Kipp making it happen.
Stanford attacking that right back seam between the middle back defender and whoever's playing right back for Texas.
Kipp has really sorted things out. Her 8th kill here in the second set alone. Ogilvy will miss that serve out of bounds, and these are starting to add up. These are breaks for Texas. Kevin Hambley showing some real frustration. Going, wait a minute, we got to settle down here at the service line. Stanford hitting 348, Holly, to only 145 for Texas. Nice crossbody. Good connection out of the middle, Minor to Francis.
That time Texas went after Elia Rubin, who had a perfect 3 pass, setting up Stanford's offense.
Kevin Hambley, the head coach, now in his 7th year after many successful years at Illinois, very fired up. Those are the kind of small things, good contacts in transition, that can take his team and elevate them once again for a chance to get to the national semis. Finals on December 17th for the first time in college volleyball history on ABC from Tampa, Florida. That is a big deal.
And another error from the service line by Stanford. They want to be aggressive. That's one of their signature skills, serving aggressive, but to make this many errors, that takes the pressure off Texas. 11th service error already.
Now the onus on Akana in Texas to take advantage. Baird has been very good in reception. She was going to be the target and really has held up very nicely.
And Texas has tried out Ogilvy and Rubin without success.
14 in 3 sets earlier in the week. It was Monday or Tuesday. It was one of those days, but that's too many. And 11 right now is also too many. Ball handling air, Baird number 22 in black. So far the player of the match, Baird. 7 kills on 15 swings, a block and 4 digs for the Stanford Cardinal. And boy, are they glad to have her back in the lineup. A champ in 2019 and over 1,000 kills coming in. Timeout is called by Texas, trailing 21-16 tonight. There's only one college football game on the schedule, and this is it, a top 10 matchup on ABC. Number 5 LSU, number 8 Florida State. In the Camping World kickoff game in Orlando, coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Your thoughts right now on what you've seen from both Stanford and Texas to give the Cardinal this 5-point advantage?
Well, Texas is not passing the ball well enough to run the offense, and they've got the arms. They just need to get them in the right positions to score. Offensively, in the match, they're hitting 145. In this current set, they're hitting 207. But Texas can hit for better numbers if they can have that better first contact.
Agree with that completely. 371 so far on the early afternoon here in Austin for the number 2 Stanford Cardinal, and hitting a cool 500 here in the second set, thanks in most part to Katie Baird along with Kendall Kipp. Kipp with 8 kills in the set, and Katie Baird has been really good in all phases: reception, defense, attacking, and blocking. That's kind of a turnaround. And Stanford won the opening set 25-23 with Kendall Kipp registering only 1 kill.
But Texas, known for their defense so far this year, they had a great blocking match against Minnesota. They've allowed Stanford to hit 371 so far.
I talked to Kendall Kipp yesterday, and she said she really grieved after that loss. Really grieved after the loss to San Diego. But it was even more motivating to get back in the gym as soon as possible, and Cammie Minor echoed those exact comments. Good pass by Halter. Nice side-out volleyball. You mentioned it, Holly. First contact leads to good, smooth offense.
It certainly does, and then Maddie Skinner able to get an aggressive swing on that left pin.
There is time, but it's fleeting. Skinner back to serve, wearing number 6 in white. Struggling so far on the offensive end after hitting over 300 last year, below 150 so far in 2023. Perfect pass again. Got to get a good swing. Smart shot by Wenis.
Wenis power tip to the middle of the court. But Texas doing a nice job in transition, pushing that ball up to the net. From the back line, Maddie Skinner sets up Wenis for the kill.
With Stanford being so efficient so far on the offensive end, when you get a transition opportunity, you better make something happen. Skinner again. Working on Baird.
Now Texas trying to load up the left side, hit her maker pass and work for her approach, but Katie Baird answers that challenge.
Texas is going to rue the day they let that tip get to the floor. But Baird, as you mentioned, in very good rhythm, 9 of 18, hitting 500. Joust coming. Pretty good play by Vicini to get the ball back to Kendall Kipp and give Stanford an opportunity, something really small. Asia O'Neal right there along with Vicini, and Vicini held her own on that joust.
And some good defensive touches by Stanford on the block. Kendall Kipp on the right back really flew sharp into close to that net area to keep the ball alive for Stanford. Those little details that we're missing against Florida.
Pringle again doing a nice job coming in, serving, keeping the pressure on, 23-18. Been serving Halter. Wenis back there along with Akana as the 3-person receive for the Longhorns. Texas, number 7 in the country after that early season loss. Hitting 162. Good read by Kip, but you got to keep that ball on your side of the net. That was a magnificent contact by Emma Halter, the libero. Really tough play near the net.
I agree. Got her feet there, lifted it, and that put Ella Swindle in a position to push that ball fast to Wennis on the left side. Look at her get under.
That play is so hard, you don't know if it's going to catch a piece of the tape. That might be a set saver for Texas. Overpass, and Wennis will throw that down. Stanford probably needs a timeout.
Service pressure by Asia O'Neal, setting up that point opportunity.
Kevin Hambley's going to let it go, probably one more. O'Neal, very, very dangerous server. Out of system chance. Oh, and missed it out of bounds. O'Neal with the dig, and Wennis had to spin so quickly. Just couldn't find herself and missed it wide.
O'Neal has gotten so good at playing defense in that spot. That ball, trying to go deep line, just misses.
Yeah, a really smart attempt. Just lost her bearings. Need a little better GPS. And Wennis struggles with that one, and very meekly the second set will come to a close. Stanford won the first 25-23 in a set of runs, but Kendall Kipp, along with Katie Baird, Ogilvy and Cammie Minor, absolutely spectacular for the Stanford Cardinal. They go up 2-0. They win the second 25-20. Teams will take an extended intermission here. It'll be time for Jared Elliott, Eric Sullivan, and David Hunt, the coaching trust for Texas, to regroup. We've now got Kevin Hambley, coach of the Stanford Cardinal, down with us courtside. And Coach Hambley, up 2-0. Second set, seemingly much improved in all phases. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought we got a nice rhythm offensively. We passed a whole lot better. I think both teams were a little anxious in that first set, being in this environment. I thought Cammie kind of settled down, made some better choices as well. I mean, we talked a lot about service errors. I would like us to get a little bit more service pressure on them, but we never gave a chance to really feel good because we missed so many serves. And so I'm hoping we can kind of steady that out a little bit, but not really back down, just kind of get back on our thing. But I think it's a good match. I expect them to come out and push hard. And, we're a long ways away from this thing being over.
Your team's put up some great offensive numbers. Any defensive adjustments that you want to make?
No, I think we're doing an okay job on defense. We're digging a lot of balls. We're digging space. I think we're having some trouble with the go, but they're good, really good left side hitters. I think we're looking at a couple of things, but we haven't had a chance to really talk about that just now. We'll talk until a 5-minute break.
Coach, thanks very much for your time, and pretty good to get Katie Baird back, I would think. Stanford on top, 2-0, but as you heard Coach Hambley, probably a long way to go in this one. You're watching the Big 12 on ESPN. The Stanford Cardinal, 9 times an NCAA champion, taking on the reigning champs, the Texas Longhorns, here in Austin before a standing room only crowd. Stanford up 2-0. Back with 3-time Olympian Holly McPeak. I'm Paul Sunderland. There have been so many outstanding matches, this right at the top of the heap in terms of preseason or non-conference matches around the country. This sport just continues to grow, and across the board, now there are only 4 power conferences, better and better and better.
Yeah, it's been crazy, but the parity across the country, we're seeing upsets every other day. I mean, we were trying to list them, but there were too many. But it just means the pool of talent is bigger and helping more schools, so it's fun to watch.
Let's take a look at the current top 10. Wisconsin has been impressive, although they almost fell. Arkansas is a perfect example. Let's be frank, kind of a volleyball afterthought years ago. Lost 15, 13, and 5 to Arkansas. Stanford there. Louisville, I think they'll be down a little bit. Your thoughts on the rest of the top 10?
Well, I've been really impressed by Nebraska. They're young and talented. Louisville replaced Chasse with Charity Looper. Some interesting changes. Stanford obviously looks really good today, but Florida, I was really impressed with Florida.
Very. Florida has done a wonderful job after losing a couple of key players to the transfer portal. Now, there has been a seismic change in college sports. First, let's take a look at the map of the 2022 members of the Big 12 Conference. And this is going to change dramatically. Don't forget that Texas and Oklahoma are going to the SEC. But look what the Big 12 has been able to do. Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, Arizona. I mean, just a phenomenal job of adding 4 other teams going on this year. Just a seismic change in college sports. Really regret what's happened to the Pac-12 and then to the ACC.
Yeah, it's incredible. You see the ACC on the east side of the country, but they are adding Cal and Stanford and SMU. It's going to be a lot of travel.
Look at the geography.
Yeah.
There's a lot of open space. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. And then let alone the Big Ten. They were the first. Well, it was really the SEC with Texas and Oklahoma. And then the Big Ten next, adding USC and UCLA. And then following closely thereafter, Oregon and Washington.
And again, big travel schedule from West Coast to East Coast or Midwest.
The landscape of college sports has decidedly changed, let alone with the transfer portal and the NIL, and we're trying very hard. We have the unbelievable honor and pleasure of welcoming the reigning NCAA Player of the Year, Logan Eggleston, up to the booth. It took us a while to get you up here, Logan. Make yourself comfortable.
I know, I'm getting there.
Yeah, you can visit here for a while. How is it? Are you still living in Austin? And what's it been sort of observing this team without the reigning Player of the Year, getting ready for your professional career?
Yeah, I'm in Austin for the weekend. It's been fun to watch the team. It's so weird being on the sidelines in the stands, having to cheer them on, not physically on the court, but I'm proud of them. I think they're doing a lot of really great things, and I'm excited to see how they continue to improve today and come back and hopefully win this game.
You see a lot of, obviously, new young faces that you played with, but in big positions. How do you see them responding?
I think they're doing a great job. They're really embracing their roles right now. You know, I think especially Emma at the libero position, it's a huge role to step into, and she's just really embracing it, helping her teammates, being really loud, and a really great leader. And so it's really cool to see them grow into those roles.
Especially in this type of a matchup.
For sure, yes. It's intense in here.
I'm sure you don't remember, but last year when Texas was at Kansas, I interviewed both you and Maddie Skinner about what the expectations, what the hopes were, and both of you were unabashed about it. Championship or nothing. Your thoughts on finally getting that across the line for your outstanding career?
It was the best moment of my life, seriously. And I knew we could do it, like me and Maddie both said. Like, it was the goal from the beginning, and we were going to do anything in our power to make it happen, and we did. So I'm so grateful for the moment, and yeah, just no words still to describe it.
I think people are probably pretty curious about what your future holds.
I'm still playing volleyball, don't worry. I'm playing in Turkey, so I leave in about 2 weeks to get back to playing again. I'm excited to get started.
Turkey is a really, really superb international league. Very well paid. I'm sure you have a good agent, and he's gotten you a really good long-term contract.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Eyes on playing for Team USA.
That's the goal. It's always been the goal. You know, after winning a national championship, the next goal is to make it into playing the Olympics. So I'm working hard and hopefully want to get there one day.
What are you most excited about living overseas?
Oh, just embracing the culture. It's so cool to be somewhere new and just learn everything about the place that I'm at. So just traveling, learning a new language potentially, trying all the food. I'm really excited to embrace it all.
Well, I would say the food first, and then the language challenge. Turkish is a little bit tough, but Turkey just won the VNL, so they are really good and wonderful environs, and you'll have lots of American potential teammates spread throughout the elite teams in that country.
Yes.
Wanted to ask you about it because it was well covered and well documented. You know, we helicopter in and we cover you 90% from an athletic point of view. But I kept hearing what an impactful student athlete you were, what an impactful person you were off the court and in the Texas community. How did that come about? What motivated you, and how did that manifest itself?
I think that's just something we talk about in our program all the time. It's not just volleyball, it's about more than volleyball, and Jared does a great job of letting us go out into the community and find things that we're really passionate about. So I was just really empowered by my team, by my coaching staff, by our administration to do things that weren't just volleyball and to get out in the community and make a difference. And that's, I feel like, the biggest impact that Texas had on me was just helping me grow as a person and not just an athlete.
Texas down 2-0. Last year's NCAA Player of the Year, the Honda Award winner. You got that today. Also 3-time Big 12 Player of the Year, 5-time All-American. I guess there was one thing good about COVID. You got to stay in school for a really long time. Just ask Asia O'Neal.
That was the one positive that we both took advantage of for sure.
Well, and Asia still is, and what a summer she had with Team USA. Texas in a must-win situation as far as the set is concerned. There is Asia O'Neal. And what a special individual. I had the chance to talk with her on Thursday and what she had to overcome in order to not only get to this level, but stay at it, what she went through with those 2 open heart surgeries.
She's my favorite athlete of all time. You know, she's someone who has overcome so much and always had a smile on her face doing it. She just inspires those around her all the time.
Texas able to get a good pass, run that middle, that high percentage attack, but early in this third set, their passing has been breaking down here. Ellis Swindle able to get Bella Bergmark in a position to score there.
You know, obviously your shoes are unfillable, if you will, but look at Zoe Fleck and Sage Aina Torres. I mean, that's what's so wonderful about volleyball. Talk about the quintessential team sport. Everybody, you're so reliant upon people. There is Zoe Fleck, not only the Libero of the Year, she's probably the only one in college sports, the Libero of the Year in the Pac-12 and in the Big 12.
I think one of the biggest impacts that Logan Eggleston had on this Texas program is the culture that you left it with. I mean, there were some issues while you were here, but the culture that you helped build and that you left remains. And Coach Jared Elliott talked about it. He's like, look, we have no drama. It's continued on from last year, and you helped teach these young players how to create that atmosphere. And I think that's, yes, your resume is amazing, but what you've left this program with, I think that's even more valuable.
That means a lot. And we talked about it every single day in the gym. It's good people love people, and that's what we did. We just turned to each other, trusted each other, loved each other, and that's, you know, how we came out on top last year.
7-5 advantage now for the second-ranked Stanford Cardinal Kendall Kipp after a relatively slow start, starting to light it up here. 13 of 30 with 2 errors. Rubin with 10 kills, and almost perfect is Katie Baird, 9 of 20. Stanford much the better offensively, hitting 390 as opposed to only 163. Why do you think offensive struggles for your old team?
You know, it's the beginning of the season. I think it's going to take time to get the connection. Ella's doing a really great job of, you know, getting the sets distributed well, and it's just going to take a little bit of time to get those connections down. But they're working really hard, and it's fun to see.
First ball contact, either in rally or in serve receive, in my opinion, has been much better for the Stanford Cardinal, and that's the difference in the match right now. Winning that in transition as Minor will go back to serve.
Emma Halter again flying in from the back row, sliding under this ball, keeping it alive for Texas, but Stanford attacks in transition out of the back row.
8-6 is the advantage, but most importantly, Stanford on top 2-0, 25-23, 25-20, and Kendall Kipp. I said a slow start, relatively speaking, offensively, but remember she got those 3 quick blocks in the opening set.
And Stanford putting up that triple block has been effective. They said they were going to do it against Wennes, but they've been doing it against Maddie Skinner as well.
I have to ask you about a play that happened some time ago, but it's sort of etched in my memory. I'll save that for you for a second. 9-6 now is the advantage. Asia O'Neal off the edge of the block. We're playing here at Gregory Gym. You chase down a ball and hit your chin on. You knew where I was going.
I know where you're going with this.
And you hit your chin on the floor. You come sprinting back into the rally, blood streaming all over the place. You just wouldn't leave the court.
I just wanted to play. I wanted to keep playing. I did have to take a break and get some stitches, but I just wanted to end the game.
Texas got a score here out of transition. Kipp tipping, and Texas unable to get a quality swing.
And that's been the difference, right? Texas is digging balls, but they're not getting swings and able to attack back. Stanford doing a much better job in that area.
You said you were visiting in Austin. Are you back in Iowa for the time being?
I'm from Nashville originally, so hanging out in Nashville with my family,
that's right.
in Austin for the weekend.
No, right, of course.
In Austin for the weekend, and then headed back to Turkey soon.
Well, I think you'll have a wonderful experience. It's, again, you've gotten some good advice and some good direction, and that is a first-class league along with Italy and some others. Logan Eggleston, congratulations on a magnificent career. I will say, I think you're the GOAT.
Wow.
I think you're the GOAT here at the University of Texas. An honor for us to have you, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
Big 12 now is only available on ESPN+. There's a full slate of college football coming up Saturday. BYU hosts Southern Utah. West Virginia hosts Duquesne. And number 17 TCU hosts Nichols at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. If you're a Big 12 fan, you got to have it. Sign up today at ESPNplus.com/Big 12 now. The Big 12. Ever-changing landscape of the Big 12 Conference, but very, very strong indeed. And this was the ceremony earlier today, or a scene thereof. Zoe Fleck, Kayla Caffey, and the one and only Logan Eggleston as they raise the banner for the 2022 championship. 11-7 is the lead for Stanford. Two-handed dink by Wennes. That is not going to go down against a lot of teams, let alone the Stanford Cardinal.
I feel like we've been seeing a lot of that when Texas is out of system. Instead of getting your feet to the ball and taking good rips.
We talked about the Stanford Cardinal and their pedigree. 9 national championships, the most ever. 135 tournament wins, the most ever. National semifinals, 23, the most ever. 17 championship matches, the most ever.
Yep.
Amazing, amazing resume for the Stanford Cardinal. When I spoke with Kevin Hambly yesterday, he has completely embraced the expectations. You don't go to Stanford and be the volleyball coach and expect nothing less than competing year in, year out for a spot in the semifinals. Rotational error is called against Texas. If you're not familiar, it's basically illegal motion, illegal formation, if you will, using football analogy. 13-7 is the advantage now for the Stanford Cardinal. Jared Elliott now in his 23rd year, last year Coach of the Year in the Big 12 Conference. Done an absolutely tremendous job here in Austin. 2 times a national champion and 17 years in a row into the regional round. We talked about it though right before first serve, Holly. Stanford, all 7 starters back. All of them made first team all Pac-12 preseason.
And Katie Baird, this is her first match of the season for Stanford, and they really missed her.
A returning All-American again with over 1,000 kills coming in. Another off speed by Wennes, who's really having a tough afternoon. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a substitution coming here pretty soon. Devin Kahawai played earlier in another timeout. We'll give you Wennes's numbers. Hitting 192 right now with 6 errors, 27 swings. And Kendall Kipp leading the way offensively, 14 of 32. Wennes's numbers, that's got to be incorrect. I'm going to go back and look at the box score. Kendall Kipp, as advertised, the reigning Pac-12 Player of the Year.
She started this match off with 3 blocks, but she's picked up her defense as well. She has 10 digs and 7 kills, but the defense has really set the tone. That was a free ball kill to the corner. Here working on that right pin. Kendall Kipp, hard to stop when Stanford's in system, and they've done a much better job than Texas today.
Oh, absolutely, Holly. 14 of 32 is Kipp, 375.
Her back row defense as well has been a big factor.
Rubin in double figures, 11 of 22 errors. And look at Baird. Let's combine the numbers. They are 25-35 of 73 with 5 errors.
Well, that's what just blows my mind. And Texas has 18 errors as a team. 73
swings from your primary attackers, 5 hitting errors. That is phenomenal efficiency. That's why they're up 2-0 and 14-7 here in the third. Skinner leading the way for Texas right now, 10 of 32, but has 8 errors as a team. 133 for the Longhorns, 398 for Stanford. Tough out of system swing once again for Wennes. Man, I hate that shot. Stanford doesn't do much with it. That ball cuffed down the line and gets a piece of the sideline. Look, That was hyperbole on my part, and I apologize. I mean, overhand? I mean, really?
Yeah.
You got to do something with the ball.
I mean, obviously it's a tough switch situation, but Wenis has a big arm and can take some swings on those.
And has played at a very, very high level 3 previous seasons at the University of Minnesota. Again, high flat. Rubin, all Pac-12 freshman team last year, having a big afternoon on the road. And after this, Stanford will continue their non-conference schedule. They will head down and play Rice, then Ohio State, then Minnesota, then Nebraska, and then at Louisville, all top 25 teams on their non-conference schedule. There's Skinner working on the pipe out of the back row, number 6 in white.
And that looks pretty. Starts with a solid pass and able to get Skinner in a good position to score right here. Seam in the block kip late to help, but Stanford, we talked about them returning everybody. They didn't have a lot of depth last year, but they've added some freshman talent with some size, and it's really helped them in the gym push each other. And you're seeing all the high hand kills by Stanford. I've been really impressed in that part of their offensive game.
Swindle again wearing number 1 out of Columbia, Missouri, starting setter as a freshman at the University of Texas, but there are a couple around the country filling a big role. Cami Miner started as a freshman setter at Stanford University, and there's Logan Eggleston along with Zoe Fleck. Kayla Caffey to her right, all national champions enjoying the action here. It's just an absolutely jam-packed Gregory Gym. 15-10. That is a perfect pass. Nice dig. Kept alive. Ka'awai. I thought we would see Devin Ka'awai wearing number 44 on the floor, adding an arm.
Yeah. Again, a Texas dig that they were not able to get an offensive swing at.
7 blocks for Kendall Kipp. 10 digs, as you mentioned earlier, to go along with 14 kills. Pretty good afternoon's work. Shank pass by Wenis. Good coverage, but the ball can't be kept alive. Better block that time. Once again, Francis at 6'6", but the outstanding athlete again, and I've said it many times, in Cami Miner on the outside.
Cami Miner does it all. Sets up that block. Sammy Francis, 17 in black, closes it up. Just 2 blockers that time come up with the block.
Good job of service pressures. Kevin Hambley talked to us about in between the second and third sets. Good first contact. Kipp, a little bit of a stutter step and pays the price.
Texas, a little throwdown. 44 in white.
You're wondering about number 44, Devin Ka'awai. 6'4" sophomore, Kailua, Hawaii, 22 matches last year. Was Hawaii's Gatorade Player of the Year, which is usually saying an awful lot. Brilliant first contact again, this time by Baird.
Stanford has been in system all day, and you see the offensive numbers they're able to put up. Got an All-American setter, and you've got weapons at every position.
Baird hitting over 400. Rubin hitting almost 500 with a service winner.
The accuracy of that serve. Rubin's been going very aggressive from the service line, pinning Emma Halter on that left sideline.
Big lead now for Stanford, up 2 sets to none, 19-11 here in the third. And Stanford has effectively taken the crowd out of this match. Chance again for Stanford. What a smart swing. Katie Baird, 6'3" redshirt senior out of Indianapolis, all the way back, a Pac-12 champion, an NCAA champion in 2019, as was Kendall Kipp.
That's her 11th kill.
And so efficient. And Rubin the same, 13 of 22, hitting 500. Unheard of.
Well, you have 3 pin hitters hitting over 300 for Stanford.
Stanford is hitting 400 on the match to only 135 for Texas as Emma Halter.
And Texas really anchors their game, especially this year, off their tough serving and their defense, which was really good at Minnesota.
Oh, that ball just out of bounds. And Stanford running away with this one. Mentioned the tough schedule upcoming. You have Nebraska at Stanford, I believe. Isn't that right?
I do. In 2 weeks. I believe it's September 12th.
And speaking of Nebraska, Volleyball Day in the state of Nebraska. 92,003. Unbelievable scene in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Katie Baird, 22 in black, adding that triple block, something that Kevin Hamley says, look, we haven't used it much, but we talked about using it like 3 years ago, and here they practiced it yesterday, and it's paying off for Stanford today.
Well, against Florida, which Stanford lost at home, they hit over 330 and lost. They hit over 400 in 2 sets. So what areas, and Kevin Hambley alluded to it, what areas has Stanford clearly cleaned up to go along with that fantastic offense?
The defensive touches, the communication, the blocking, and obviously they've been able to serve well. They're still making a lot of errors, but defensively they've been able to get way more stops and get Texas out of system.
That ball does go down by Maddie Skinner. A lot of tips from Texas. But look, I'm not pointing the finger at Swindle. I think number 1 in white, the freshman setter, has done a really, really good job. And speaking of freshman setters and Nebraska going out to Stanford, Bergen Riley, the freshman for Stanford, for Nebraska, looked really good.
I've been really impressed by the young players for Nebraska. They just reloaded, and Bergen Riley is one of the most talented setters in the country.
Harper Murray, Andy Jackson also in that freshman class for John Cook and the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and Kendall Kipp. Just putting on a show at both ends of the floor. Double-digit digs, 7 blocks. That's got to be near a career high. 15th kill for Kipp. 8 of those coming in the second set. There is Minor. Oh, good block. Nice play by Swindle.
We've seen her do that a couple times this match on those tight balls when she's front row. Good defensive block.
I just like the way she carries herself. I like her demeanor. That's a game face, no question about that. Gerald Elliott was very, very complimentary of her personality, her family background, and thinks she's going to have a magnificent career here for the Longhorns. Off the edge again by number 22. Adding to her total, came in with 1,004 kills, and for Baird, that's kill number 12, hitting over 400, Rubin hitting 500, and Kendall Kipp taking so many difficult swings, well over 300. Really a show offensively. Match point. Asia O'Neal never really put her hands on this match. Serve, receive, and ball control wasn't good enough. That'll do it. And why not a pin hitter? Rubin, Baird, Kendall Kipp. An absolutely, I'll say it, dominating performance for the Stanford Cardinal on the road. And really interesting, Texas lost early, came back, beat Minnesota. Stanford loses at home to Florida, really good Florida team. They come home, on the road to Texas, and looked fantastic.
Great response after being swept at home. Stanford responded and came back firing on all cylinders today, both offensively and defensively.
The Stanford Cardinal, currently ranked number 2 in the country. A 3-0 win over number 7 Texas, 25-23, 25-20, 25-15. Back to wrap it up right after this in Austin. Coming up on Monday night, we'll have the only college football matchup on the Labor Day schedule, an all-ACC affair between number 9 Clemson and Duke in Durham. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app. Coverage begins with college football countdown at 7 Eastern time. Very disappointed capacity crowd filing out of Gregory Gym. The Stanford Cardinal, very, very efficient and impressive behind Kendall Kipp, 25-23, 25-20, 25-15. And speaking of the aforementioned number 10 in black, Kendall Kipp joining us now. And Kendall, what do you think was the key to the level of your team's performance here this afternoon on the road against a very, very good group?
I think we came in with a lot of motivation, coming off of a pretty tough loss last week. And then we've never beat Texas. This group has never beat Texas at home. So we had a lot of motivation on that. And then ultimately we were just so locked in on getting every little thing. Every dig was up, every set was great, every block was there. We just really focused on the little things.
This is a mature group, obviously a lot of returning players for you. What was the conversation after Tuesday's loss?
We were pretty disappointed in ourselves. We did not come out prepared to battle. I think we kind of just let ourselves slip up a little bit. And so we've been having a lot of talks about ways we can better prepare for matches and just be on the little details. And I think we just knew that we needed to turn it around, and we did exactly that today. And I'm really proud of our team for turning it around so quickly.
And how nice was it to have your teammate for many years, Katie Baird, back in the lineup? She was good in every phase.
Yeah.
Reception, defense, and of course offensively.
It was awesome to have her back. We're finding our groove. I think we're just such a comfortable group together. We've played together for so long, and it was nice to just find our rhythm and all be back together.
All right, you're back on the road. I believe you're driving today to Houston.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to in your next match?
I think we want to just keep this momentum going. We've seen what we're capable of and how well we can play, and so I think this is our new standard. It's easy to play at such a high level against a school like Texas, but if we can sustain that every single match, then I think we'll have a lot of success.
Lastly, my job to ask, championship or nothing will satisfy this group closing out this year?
Definitely.
Thank you for going on record, because I know that's the case.
Yes.
I've heard lots of machinations and lots of hemming and hawing.
Yes.
Kendall, thanks so much. What a huge afternoon. 3-0 for you and your Stanford Cardinal teammates. 15 of 35, hit over 340, 7 blocks, and 10 digs. Kendall Kipp, congratulations to you and your teammates.
Thank you.
Once again, the final score, the Stanford Cardinal, currently ranked number 2, over Texas, 3-0. Right now, we'll send you out to more live college volleyball. Should be a good one. Pitt is really good. They're taking on Kentucky.